Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me over. I'm very happy and very honored to exhibit my work at Beholding Cell.
Hello, we are very happy to have Gina with us at Beholding Cell. And this is our 34th exhibition. We are inviting Gina Pan to show her artworks with us.
Welcome to Beholding Cell. I'm Gina Pan, and I am very happy to be exhibiting here with my 3 paintings along with some pencil artworks with the theme of women in mythology and new imagined futures. So the painting next to me is the story of the white snake, and this one is kind of the starting point of this series because I read this book called The White Snake Throughout History, and it was examining the way that this myth, which is very integral to Chinese history and culture, has evolved over time and what it says about society and culture. And I am someone who is always interested in history and mythology, specifically because I think it's a fascinating way to understand people's aspirations, desires, fears, anxieties. And so with this story, what I found very interesting was how it has gradually become a story much more focused on romance and also feminism, because the white snake has evolved over time from becoming a villain and has become a sort of hero in her own right, who eventually saves the male love interest in the story. And in some more recent modern stories and retellings, she actually is the full-on hero. And so in here, this painting, it really deals with, I was very interested in the idea of consumption as it relates to love, and the idea of the white snake and the tension that exists between the male love interest and the white snake, in which there is the question of, will she consume him or not? But then I also felt like this was a very interesting way of examining the entire concept of love as a form of consumption, which I also felt was very timely in today's circumstances, given all of the articles and media coverage of the loneliness epidemic / crisis, and the question of, is love dead? And so I thought it was very timely to examine this topic through the lens of this mythology and to examine the way that love is a form of consumption. But that doesn't necessarily have to mean doom, because in the recent iterations of the story, her love consumes him, but it also saves him. And in that way, it is a story in which the idea of mutual consumption is what saves the both of them. Next to it is the story of the butterfly lovers. This story, the reason I got into the inspiration behind this actually starts from when I was a kid, because I grew up with my mom telling me a lot of stories from Chinese history and culture, and this was one of them. And the other thing is I also grew up watching figure skating, and a lot of Asian American figure skaters at one point will skate to the orchestral suite of butterfly lovers. And so when I was coming up with this painting, I was researching, and I was also watching some movie depictions of butterfly lovers, and I was also reading about previous depictions of it. And in many of the depictions, actually, it is a all-female troupe that performs butterfly lovers. And I was also reading about how the story has shifted over time to really become a story about women's empowerment and freedom in society. So it is both a story in which they are oppressed by society, but also where they find the ultimate freedom with each other at the very end through their death. And so first off, I felt it was very fitting, given the theme, to represent the 2 lovers as 2 women, given the previous history of butterfly lovers stage shows. And then the second part was, I thought it was a very interesting way to explore the idea of women's liberation and queer liberation through this painting, where the 2 are mixed together into one. And then over here is the story of the green snake, which is the second part to the white snake painting. The green snake one, I thought, when I was reading the book on the evolution of the white snake myth in Chinese history, one thing that stood out to me was that the green snake has evolved over time from being a pretty minor character that just is a sidekick to the white snake to becoming a major character in her own right. And she has evolved from becoming this, she just follows along with the white snake and does whatever the white snake asks her to being someone who is very proactive, who fights for the people she loves, and who even rebels against the white snake at times when she feels that the white snake is not making a decision for her own benefit. And so these, to me, are the dual sides of love, in which one side is love as consumption, and this is a more fierce type of love in which it's expressed through the willingness to fight, the willingness to protect, and the willingness to get a little violent if necessary. And I thought that it's another element of, when we're talking about the theme of women's empowerment and freedom, to focus on how the green snake has become this symbol for a lot of women of feminism and also of women's power.
And this is our 34th.
34th.
Yeah.